If Sam Pittman would have went in the portal, no one would have taken him as a player, but that's all right because he's one hell of a coach. And now he's surrounded by more excellent coaches here. Dan Enos, of course, the offensive coordinator. This is the first time that Pittman has addressed hiring Dan Enos, bringing in Marcus Woodson, who he calls the best defensive backs coach, and he's now the co-defensive coordinator for Arkansas. Arkansas's pass defense has been a train wreck at Florida State. Marcus Woodson's secondary was arguably the best in the country. Now he's leading the charge for Arkansas's back end of the defense here. Let's get over to Sam Pittman on doing what he can to upgrade his coaching staff this offseason.
I know you've had to have an offensive coordinator idea in your mind for a while with Kendall. So when did you make contact with Dan, and how do you think he's going to meld into what you're doing offensively, like currently? How's his philosophies meld into this?
Well, I guess the first part of your question is as soon as I found out that there was interest for Coach to leave, maybe, I don't know, 10 minutes after that, maybe, or 5 or 3. And then, I've had respect for Dan Enos for a long, long time. I talked to Jamie last night. It's just different, When I was here the first time, he was my boss, and now I'm working with him in a different role. And I think you hire good people that are confident in themselves, but yet confident in guys they're working with too. I was very comfortable working with him, and I hope he feels the same about me. Offensively, I think he can answer a question better than me, but Dan has always, here, whether it be at Alabama, whether it be at Maryland, they've always ran an offense around their personnel and their talents, and all that starts at, in my opinion, the quarterback position. Dan obviously knew coming here what we have at quarterback, and we're going to use KJ's abilities to the fullest, and along with, Rocket and all the other guys. But I'm an offensive line coach for a reason. I like to run the ball, and Dan fit in that philosophy as well. But the bottom line is we got to just score more points than they do. And I really like since Dan's left Arkansas, he's been in multiple formations, multiple sets, multiple offensive philosophies that I think he can adjust and will around any of the personnel that we have.
You've gone pretty young on the defensive side with your coaches.
Yeah.
What do you think about the mesh between all the new guys?
Have you seen
D?
Marcus Woodson or no? Have you seen him? I mean, he go ahead. No, I'm messing with you, Marcus. When I interviewed Travis Williams, and I think I said this before, so I won't belabor the point, I knew he was the guy. I knew he was. I knew. What's some of the major concerns you have in football right now? One of them is the portal. So you're going to have kids going into the portal, and you're either going to beg an average player to stay, or you're going to say, okay, we're going to go out and have the capabilities upgrading our team and replacing him. That's one of the reasons that Travis, obviously a very aggressive defensive guy, but right now the portal makes you better. And I've always been this way, but even more so now. You better hire recruiters, and recruiters are usually good people. And so I did that with him. And then Marcus Woodson I thought he was the best defensive back coach in America, and I think what they did at Florida State proved that. But he's a better man, and they're recruiting machines now. I mean, I was trying to watch a basketball game, talk 4, 5, 6 guys last night.
A lot of high hopes on the hill for this coaching staff, and I love the fact that, because I got to be honest, and I'm not calling out Arkansas fans because this is across the league. When a guy leaves, like Barry Odom did, he sucked. He's terrible. We regress. Just look at our numbers. That doesn't paint the whole story. Barry Odom was the best defensive coordinator by the numbers heading into this last season. And what it really tells you is Arkansas, their roster, was just not elite particularly on the defensive side of the ball. You lose a couple key pieces and the whole thing crumbles. That's where they're at. So what do you do to fix that? You're not going to hire another Barry Odom because it's extremely difficult to get a defensive coordinator of that caliber in here. Travis Williams has got promise. Again, remember I said this guy's going to be one of the top recruiters in the SEC. Well, that's how you fix it. And that's exactly what Sam Pittman says. That's what he was looking for in his defensive coordinator, a people person, an elite recruiter, to where if we suffer an injury or two, it does not collapse the unit. So, I think that's critical. And if they can upgrade the talent, if Travis Williams is not too big of a downgrade, which I'm not saying he is, because if you look at some of the advanced analytics, Central Florida had a top 30 defense adjusting for roster talent, that's the metric we use here. And Barry Odom, as good as I say he is, his number there was in the 80s. So, potentially it could be an upgrade. I know I'm kind of talking out both sides of my mouth here, but if you're an Arkansas fan, you got to be excited about these hires, particularly if we can upgrade the talent on the roster, which is just paramount. We say it many, many times on this show. I'll continue to say it. The players matter more than the coaches. That's not to say the coaches don't matter, but there's a reason Georgia just went back-to-back. Alabama's always in it. LSU. These rosters are stacked. And Arkansas's got to get better in that regard if they're going to win an SEC West title under Sam